Hello.
I know everybody's like, wait, they didn't say welcome back.
Slow down.
We got some exciting news for y'all.
Yes. Some Patreon-y news. Patreon.
I'm like, what's Patreon? Think you're Italian now? But anyway, so our Patreon, we've been in the works for a few months now. It's been a lot of fun. Some extra work for us, but it's been a way for us to kind of extend this community that we're building with We Still Like Each Other, the podcast. And we have some exciting changes coming that's going to grow our community. So every month, twice a month, we've been having interactive recaps. So what is that like? Remember mid-pandemic when you couldn't go anywhere and you had to meet with your friends through Zoom? It was kind of fun because you didn't have to leave your house. You didn't have to get ready. Yeah, you have fun. You met with your friends. So that's kind of what our interactive recaps are.
Yeah, so everyone gets together, no holds bar. Unmute your mic, turn your camera on, just make sure you're clothed. And yeah, let's just chat. For the most part, we'll have like an outline of where we want to take the conversation, but it's usually freestyling.
Yeah, you get to ask us any questions. We'll bring up topics from the previous weeks, and then we kind of just chit chat. It's a lot of fun. And I definitely invite you all to have a drink. And what's changing for Patreon now is that even our $3 tier, Podcast Love, has access to that twice a month. So maybe you're like, I can't afford to do $7. I can't commit to $12 a month. With just $3 a month, you have access to joining us twice a month. If you can't make it twice a month.
Yeah, so we have the recordings. I post the audio and video. So you'll say like, why are you posting both? Audio, one, if you're on the go, uses less data and it like holds your spot better. So if you stop like 20 minutes in and then you need to continue listening during the rest of your day, you can just keep going. It's very similar to the podcast apps. So we give you the choice. And also, if you join now, you get the backlog of our previous 8 interactive recaps.
Yeah, so think of it like having 8 never before seen episodes of We Still Like Each Other, the podcast, in a more informal format where you listen in from some of our supporters on Patreon.
Yeah, and the quality doesn't change. You're still getting these amazing mics, the same camera. I mean, the only thing is we can't control you all joining. You don't have the best equipment, but it's still
it's still a fun experience.
Yeah, I still do my best to make it an enjoyable listening and viewing experience.
Definitely. And then our other tiers are still there. So the Lucky Sevens tier and the We Really Like You tier will get something totally new as well. So what we're going to do is kind of record an extended cut to our episodes every week. So that means we'll go beyond the hour, beyond our topics, and talk about things like pop culture, trending news, music, whatever, things going on in our personal lives, things that don't necessarily fit the structure of We Still Like Each Other, the podcast, but we just want to give our Patreon family a little bit more every month. So we'll be doing that every week after we record every episode. So again, that'll be for the Lucky Sevens tier and the We Really Like You tier.
Yep.
And then lastly, the We Really Like You tier, what's special about it is that you get to join our close friends on Instagram, which we need to do better at posting more on. And you get the opportunity to get a credit as a producer if you submit episode topic suggestions. So that is exclusively for the We Really Like You tier.
And we forgot one thing for both the 7 and the We Really Like You.
Oh.
We drop a vlog once a month.
Yes.
So you get backlog of the vlogs and future vlogs. So
exactly. So last month we did a vlog of our weekend where Travis and I got away. We were able to spend the night in Philly without kids. So we have a vlog available on that. So if you sign up to either the Lucky Sevens tier or the We Really Like You tier, you'll have access to those previous vlogs as well.
Yeah, so we just wanted to give you that update on Patreon, and we hope that you all can join us. We hope that these changes entice you to come in, hang out with us a little bit more.
Yes.
And yeah, just thank you for everyone who's already joined and has been a part of this community. And I'm really excited for what we're building.
Yeah. And remember, even if you don't have enough time to add on interactive recaps, to watch extra, that just once a week is enough, you can still sign up for the $3 tier as a donation for us. We do not get paid to do this podcast at all. So every little dollar that we can get definitely helps in terms of improving our equipment, our studio, and just, buying us a cup of coffee when we're planning these episodes.
For sure. Well, right now we have beer, but you get the point.
All right. So you ready to get started?
Yeah, let's get started. Peace, y'all.
All right.
Welcome back to We Still Like Each Other, the podcast. I'm Travis.
And I'm Stephanie.
And this is the podcast where we show that the honeymoon stage can last forever.
Forever and ever.
What's up, baby?
What's up, Daddy?
I'm chilling.
How was your week?
It was a good week. Nothing special.
You don't know what you did this week. You're never ready for this.
Oh, I went out after work.
You were home for 3 days training.
Yes.
Damn, babe. Every week.
They just go by in such a flash. So first, the beginning of the week, I was home training, doing some, trying to excel my professional career if this doesn't pan out.
Don't say that. Don't put that bad juju.
It will. And then Thursday, went out with my coworkers. We did a scavenger hunt in, what's that area called?
Washington Square Park.
That was really fun, surprisingly fun. Like, that's something I would have us get a group of friends together and do.
Yeah. Travis was complaining that his knee hurt the whole next day.
No, it's still I injured myself because we had to be back at under the arch at 6:55, and we were walking back, and it was like 6:52. And I look at my team, I'm like, we got to start jogging. And I was running like I'm a runner.
And at this age, we're not supposed to be doing any running without warming up first.
So I should have stretched a little.
So now you all messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that definitely made my week feel like super fast because Monday through Wednesday you were home. Then Eli had to get picked up early. He was sick. He stood home with me one day, the day you went to Washington Square Park. So we were home alone all day that day, and I got so much cleaning done.
Yeah, you were cleaning like you had some inspiration, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't know. So Thursday and Friday, like, I had like the cleaning bug. Like, I was just in my bag. I typically, like, I'm always cleaning just because that's life with 2 children and a home. But I was like detailing. You know what I mean? Like, I was getting all the little corners and places.
All the little projects she's been saying she wants to do for the past however many months.
Yeah.
She was tackling a few of those. So.
Yeah, definitely. So the week, it felt like it flew by. Like, yeah, it literally went by so fast for me. But you know what else I wanted to talk about? How once again we're attempting to be more intentional with cooking at home and not eating out.
It's tough.
I feel like every couple of months we say this on the podcast. Like, we're trying not to eat out. And again, this week we're attempting it. And we did pretty good this week.
Yeah, I don't think we ate. Oh, no, we did eat out once.
So it was because Eli had to get picked up from school early. So then that messed up our lunch, and we bought lunch while we were out. And then
he had the parent teacher.
That same day he got picked up early, he had back to school night. So then we ordered dinner. So that one day kind of messed us up, but that's not bad considering that on a normal week we were ordering out
every day.
Almost every day, like one
at least
meal.
Dinner.
Yeah, or lunch or something, one meal, which is crazy because if y'all forgot, we act like we forgot that we're only on one income right now. We can't be doing that shit.
Yeah, we balling.
And another thing is, like, we were talking is we forget that like cereal and fruit is a meal. Sandwiches are a meal because sometimes I get overwhelmed that I have to make 3 meals a day, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But breakfast could be something that I'm not necessarily cooking. And I also notice when I cook 3 meals a day, like the cleanup with that, like I can't, if I'm cooking 3 meals and clean the kitchen 3 times a day, I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah. And
there's so many other things I need to get done in the day.
I definitely got spoiled with breakfast. Gotta have eggs, gotta have some type of meat.
And then it sucks because I don't really have a big appetite in the morning. So I'll have coffee and be lounging, and I hear Travis' stomach rumbling because he won't feed himself. He was just waiting for me to make breakfast.
I mean, before I met you, I would have cereal.
But we have cereal here. You know that.
I'm saying you changed my palate. You opened my eyes.
Sometimes I'm chilling on the couch, watching TV, drinking my coffee. He's like, what are we going to eat? I'm like, there's cereal in the cabinet. Because I'm just like, leave me alone. Yeah.
I wonder the dynamic of cooking in relationships. Is it usually the woman?
Probably most of the time.
I know we know a few couples who the man cooks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do. And I'm OD jealous. Not gonna lie.
They're making it hot out here for me. You know who you are.
But you see, in those relationships where the man cooks mostly, the women still cook sometimes. You just never cook.
I'm just not. It brings no joy to me. We're all about sparking joy in our lives.
But it's also about responsibility.
I could cook if it were like life or death.
Okay. Literally just today, I cooked tacos last night, which I cook tacos because Eli loves it. You love it. I love it. It tastes good. But honestly, it's the hardest meal to cook because there's so many parts. Like I dirty a lot of pots. I have to put everything in separate plates and then all the little fixings. My kitchen's a disaster after I make tacos. Today for lunch, we were having leftover tacos. You should have seen Travis just heating up the food. How many minutes? Do I gotta add water?
We got to stop with this narrative. I am so sick of it. And I'm going to say it on camera. Just because I am not smiling when I'm doing something doesn't mean I am miserable. It was an honest question. Hey, babe, how much do you normally warm up this rice? How much do you normally warm up this chicken? Not, I can't believe this bitch got me warming up chicken right now.
So y'all don't think it's a problem that Travis doesn't know how long to microwave rice? That means don't help me enough.
Do you honestly think that if I was home by myself, no one around, I was just going to be like, oh, what do I do? I would have just, all right, 2 minutes feels right. Or put it in for a minute, take it out, feel it. I would have done something like that. But I was trying to do a one and done. So I was asking the professional.
Okay, good. I'm not laughing. I'm just laughing that I could tell you're irritated. But I get it. Since I was there, you're like, it's kind of like second nature to just ask me because I'm there.
And if you weren't, I think I would have managed. Or you would have came home and back, baby, I ate cold chicken. I don't know what happened.
And I get that. But this is something you should have figured out by now.
Okay.
Like, I know that if I weren't there, you would figure it out. But we're still at a point that you do it so infrequently that something as simple as warming up a bowl of rice, you don't know how long it needs in the microwave.
Okay.
And you did look miserable.
I can't. My resting, what you used to call it in the beginning of this pod,
resting Mitch face.
My resting Mitch face has been a part of me as long as I've lived. I work on it at work because that's our bread and butter. Here, I'm trying to be comfortable.
He doesn't like salsa, so he set up all the taco stuff. He didn't get my salsa out the fridge.
What are we doing now?
He also doesn't warm up his tortillas. He didn't warm up mine. I said, damn, babe,
asked,
you're not going to warm up my tortillas.
No, you said, baby, can you warm me up one? In a very cute little baby voice.
I had to do that.
I don't know what's happening.
I do things for you that I know you like when I cook dinner. Why I had to ask you for that? We're about to have a fight.
No, I'm all good. Y'all know I don't fight. I don't hold a grudge.
Well, I wanted to make one last point before we move on to Did You Know? A lot of us struggle with this whole ordering, cooking thing. The timing is a lot. Something that I noticed this week that we were able to do is that since we were out because of having to pick up Eli from school and going to back to school night, we were picking up the food ourselves instead of ordering from Uber. And it was way cheaper. Like anytime I order from Uber, it's like about $60 always because of the tip, the fee. In picking up dinner for us, it was like $26 total. And we were okay with stopping at 2 different places. We get into pretty much like near arguments because we can't decide what to order. And Travis really doesn't care what I pick, but I worry because I'm like, I know he doesn't really like this. And then by the time we decide on what to get that we'll both like, I'm not really happy. I'm not enjoying dinner. Or if I get something I really like, he's just eating it, but he doesn't really enjoy it. Fuck that. Get what you want. I think it'll save so much headache if you just order what you want. It's okay to order 2 different things. And you save a lot of money if you actually just drive to pick it up versus ordering through Uber. That's my little tip.
Just a tip.
And also when you do cook dinner, cook a little extra, and then you always have the next day for like lunch. And that just saves another headache the next day when you're trying to figure out what to eat.
Yeah. I love when there's when I'm able to take lunch to work.
Or even like today, we had extra tacos from last night, and that was our lunch today.
Yep.
And that was one less thing I had to think about, even though you didn't really do it
the way you want it.
The way I wanted you, but
Did you know? Did you know? Did you know, in an effort to expose their babies to fresh air and sunlight, city dwellers in the early 20th century hung baby cages outside their windows and placed their babies in them?
Wait, what year was this?
Early 20th century.
You know what's crazy? I would have been like, fact check this for me. But I feel like parenting things change so often that like it makes sense. Like even when I had Eli 8 years ago, the recommendations were different than they are now. So yeah.
So you just hang your baby outside like a little parakeet.
And I bet you at that time, if you were a parent that was like, I don't know, that sounds kind of dangerous, you were looked at as a bad mom. Like they were like, you don't want to give your baby some sunlight and fresh air? How dare you? You know what I mean? Like you would be judged for not putting your baby outside in a cage.
I can see the need for it. Living in the city, all those buildings, you know, we complained about the lack of sunlight we had when we used to live in the Bronx. So I could understand the want for that. And then maybe back then, I mean, sun is still important now. And they were probably pushing it even more back then, you know.
But literally the solution is go outside or walk to a park. You know what I'm saying? And back in that time, I'm sure it was not even as congested. You know what I'm saying? Maybe like literally the solution is go outside or have the city build more parks, not put your kids on a cage and stick them out the window.
Hopefully it was sturdy.
It also reminds me though of the hoods, you know, hanging out on the fire escape. That shit was so common.
I don't know about that life, but I've heard things.
Oh yeah, he lived in houses in Brooklyn. Ooh.
I lived in a neighborhood, not the hood.
So yeah, I lived in the hood and we would like hang out on the fire escape to get some fresh air and get wet by the fire hydrant. Did you do that in Brooklyn in your neighborhood?
No, we had hoses. I'm not even trying to shit on you.
What's a hose?
I mean, you only used to see them with the fire department, but when they came to turn off the fire hydrant. But we had them attached to our houses to water the lawn, clean the cars.
Yeah. No, I used to like get wet in the pump. It used to be mad fun. And one of my childhood buildings had like a huge staircase in front of it, kind of like the ones from the Joker movie. And then the fire hydrant was right across from it. So you used to stand on the stairs and then someone would like raise the water with like a board or something to kind of make it like a sprinkler. It used to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would say New Yorkers are very innovative. I saw a video recently where they like, I don't know if it's cones, like parking cones for construction. They like made like a rectangle. Then they put like a big tarp and filled it with water. And then they had like a little pool.
So I will say it's not just New Yorkers. It's poor people. Because the New Yorkers here who got money, they ain't getting in no water pump. They're not getting in no makeshift pool. They're just, you know, going to the fucking Hamptons when it's hot or traveling, going to their family.
The Hamptons is the measure of wealth in New York.
You know, like it's not a New Yorker thing. Yeah. It's a hood thing. Correct it.
Okay.
Because, you know, they be trying to take all our shit.
They're going to start selling that shit at Target, watch.
So anyway, back to the cages. This episode is going to focus a lot on parenting. And I think something that we can all take from that, did you know, is that you're always going to be doing your best. And there's going to be 1,000,001 suggestions from different doctors, different authors, different experts. And I feel like if you go with your gut and do what you feel is best, fuck everybody else. You know?
Yeah. It's tough. You know, my parenting skills have evolved greatly from day one till now, and they're still evolving. I'm still figuring it out. I feel like Steph is there as my moral compass. Like, hey, maybe you shouldn't say that. Or, Eli believes everything you say. Don't you? I'm figuring it out. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Even like with our parents, they did things so differently that now the experts now, the doctors now don't agree with. And it's so hard to like tell your parents like, I'm
you
not
fucked
doing
me
that.
up.
No, not you fucked me up, but when they're giving us suggestions of what to do with our kids and we're like, we're not doing that. And it's kind of like, in a way, it's telling them like you did it wrong, but it's not. It's just you did what was right at the time.
And now we have more data.
We have more information, more data. So I'm not doing that. But it's hard to say. And sometimes it's hard for the generation before us to accept it, But yeah, so let's move on to topic number 1. You ready?
Ready.
So topic number 1 is going to be all about how our lives have been impacted by having another baby. Because we've talked about this before, but now it's 9 months in. River just turned 9 months. There's been so many changes that happen in our lives, but we've been living here for about 5 months now. May, June, July, August, September, about 5 months. So I feel like now we can really have a moment to like reflect.
Okay.
And parenting is hard. And we have a lot of things we want to talk about that's been rough for us lately. But I do want to start with the positive. So how do you feel that becoming a dad again has impacted you personally in our relationship?
I think it's allowed me to be more present and not necessarily be like thinking of what I'm not doing with the time that I'm spending with my kids. I used to feel like, Steph would say like, go to the park with Eli. And I do it, but I'll be like, damn, that could be time I'm like relaxing on the couch or something. And it's like, now.
You felt a little selfish.
A lot selfish. And I think I told you that recently. Like, I grew up selfish and I'm learning to shed that, and having a baby in my life where it's like from day one, like Eli's my son, but honestly, I came into his life when he was 1. So it's different from someone who really needs you compared to where I met Eli. Like Eli needed me, but it's different.
Yeah. And I get that. Like it kind of sounds even uncomfortable probably for you to say it, but a way that I could kind of relate to that feeling that you're talking about is that when I was pregnant with Eli, a lot of moms would say things like, oh my God, I loved you from the minute you were in my belly. Like, I can't wait for you to be here. And like this like maternal instinct type of love that kind of just turned on for them. And I had guilt because I didn't feel that, And it took until when I was in labor with Eli and the doctor kind of checked how far dilated I was. And she was like, you'll be ready to push in 30 minutes. I don't know what it was about those words that it all hit me in that moment. Like it took 9 whole months of my pregnancy, 38 weeks and 5 days to be exact. And those words out of that doctor's mouth for me to like have that rush of maternal instinct, of maternal love, of like realizing like, oh shit, I'm going to be connected to this person. Because yeah, before that, I was thinking about money, daycare, time. Like I was being very logical about it. But that like, that love, that like connection that everybody spoke about, I didn't feel it. And I was scared. Like, am I not going to be a good mom or anything? So I get that little, I can't even find the words to describe it. But I get how that like little connection was missing in terms of not your love for Eli, but how it changes you as a man about like your responsibilities now on this earth. Because
like you said, like I loved Eli from the moment I met him. And his personality, even when I met him, is very similar to who he is now. Yeah. Just a very loving individual. And he just pours love into you, even when you don't want it. It's just like, but it's like, I'm still coming out of or was still in a very selfish part of my life. And, you know, part of me even feels bad that he got that version of me. Like, you know, I knew you didn't force being a father on me. Like, it was something I took on. And even though I adored him, I wish I was able to let go of that selfishness a lot earlier. And it didn't take, you know, having your own biological son for me to like finally shed that and, you know, just want to be all about parenting. I don't know if it has anything. I personally think it just has to do with my my age and growth and just knowing what I want the best for my boys, and I want them to have the best version of me. And maybe just now that there's two, I don't think it would have mattered that you pushed River out. Like, if you brought home a kid we adopted, it's like, oh shit.
I don't think it's just the fact that River is here. It's a whole lot of other factors, right? Like me being a stay-at-home mom, where we live, the books we've been reading, the friends that we have, and the type of parents that they are. There's a whole bunch of different things that all happen that have impacted you as a man and you as a father. And it just seems like River's the obvious like switch, but I don't think it's that. Yeah. It's definitely more than that. And I think it's also the type of man that Eli needs you to be. Because it's true, at River, he's not going to remember any of these days, right? It's going to impact him, of course, but Eli needs a very selfless version of you at this age. I feel like boys, I actually read data that the government creates, basically they start planning for the number of jail cells that they will need using data from children in 4th grade. So I think Eli desperately needed a selfless version of you now. So even that probably has played a role in your change, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's still, I'm still working out the kinks.
Yeah.
But I do feel more fulfilled in this version of myself. You know, even the other day, took the training wheels off of Eli, and took the training wheels off of Eli, and he's riding the bike by himself. And the first thing he says is like, "Daddy, I did it."
It's okay, man.
I wish we had that moment sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm learning. I'm still figuring it out. And, you know, I want him to look back at this time of his life and just be, like, have nothing but positive memories. We all have daddy stuff, even me. And I don't want him to view his time with me and feel anything but, you know, love and admiration for me.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, I'm trying to pour as much as I can into his cup so that even the times where I felt like I might have let him down, that it's kind of like, huh? What do you mean? You know, like it never happened.
Yeah. I will say that I don't want you to have any guilt, right? Because you do what you can with what you know at the time. You know what I'm saying? And till this day, I'm 32 years old and my father has never figured it out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So figuring it out now is a blessing for Eli. And like you said, that boy is nothing but love. He's a vessel of love to give love and to receive love. And he's not gonna be like, when I was 6, like I wish X, Y, and Z. And you've never just been absent. You've always been a provider. And like you said, push come to shove, you will always hold him down no matter what. Right? Like you made that decision from the moment we got married that like he was your responsibility. God forbid anything happened to me. But I just feel like now y'all gonna build a more personal and close relationship. And, you know, I look forward to seeing that flourish.
Same.
Oh, I don't even know where this was going. It kind of took a whole different turn. But yeah. For me, life with 2 children, I'm kind of able to be more present and like smell the roses, not working full time, being here, like even just the moments. Now in New Jersey, Eli starts school at 9:30 versus in New York City at 8. So mornings were rough for us. We were like rushing. He did get school breakfast. So some days if I was in a rush, I'd be like, eat at school. And mornings were tough. Like 3 out of 5 days I was yelling and it was really hard. But I also had to go to work. So it was like a lot of pressure. I feel like being here has, given us the opportunity to slow down.
Yeah.
Him not starting school till 9:30 allows him to wake up a little easier. It allows me to make breakfast and talk.
I was gonna say, it allows him to just kind of like move in slow motion if he want. And
he does move in slow motion. And sometimes I used to think it was an Eli thing, but all kids are like that. They're not in a rush like we're in a rush. You know what I'm saying? Like later on in this topic, in this episode, I want to talk about like seeing things from children's perspective, but needing to rush out the house is a me problem. In his brain, he's not in a rush. He doesn't get it. So he's not going to move with that same type of urgency. And a lot of times as adults, we feel like, well, they just have to move with urgency because I said so. And it doesn't work that way. But I feel like this new phase of our lives has allowed us to be more present and move slower in the mornings and have less conflict in the mornings, which I love. But I will say that I'm also sometimes very like overwhelmed. I'm stressed. I'm sleep deprived. River just regressed. He was sleeping through the night for a couple of months, and the past couple of months he just hasn't. And then it's like I'm trying not to have him sleep in our bed, but sometimes I'm so exhausted that I'll just nurse him in our bed. When I'm, aware enough, I'll stay up with him and nurse him back to sleep, but then I can't go to sleep. So it's been tough. But besides the sleep, I feel like the toughest thing for me is figuring out how to take care of myself so that I'm like okay and well to take care of you all, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rhetoric around like, you got to take care of you, mom. You got to take care of yourself first, mom. But it's like, how the fuck do you do it?
Do you feel like the challenge is time or just the tools or the knowledge to know like what that even means?
I feel like I have the tools. Like I could tell you right now what exactly I need to have a good day and to be the best mom and to be the best wife. But so many things have to go right in order for my day to go that way. So taking care of me, right? I like to work out. And once I work out, it just sets the tone for my day. I need to do more reading. 1, because I just like to learn more things. And 2, I feel like to become a better parent, I need to read the research that's out there to do better in our marriage and to know more about relationships and marriage for this podcast. I have to do more reading. So when that gets done in the mornings, I feel so accomplished and my day can go well. Then I can be present when I have to wake up Eli for school and making his breakfast. I'm not thinking about, I need to do those things. They already got done. But now River's not sleeping through the night. So I can't wake up early to get those things done, right? And this is just talking about self-care. What about the cooking? Cooking 3 meals a day and cleaning the kitchen 3 times a day is not going to leave much room for all those things I want to do for myself. And I have to play with River and be interactive because God forbid he has too much screen time, then I'm the worst mom in the world. It's like, in order for me to have a perfect day, too many things have to go right.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
I think, and this, unwarranted or unasked for advice, but I just think you have to be okay with, whatever the day may throw at you. Like some days you may wake up and you may have had a good night's rest. I was like, all right, let me work out, let me journal, let me have a cup of coffee. And then some days like River was up 3 times last night, I'm gonna just skip to the coffee. And you have to be okay with that. I know for you, you have like personal goals, especially when it comes to your health and being physical, but I don't want you to feel like you failed, because then the moment you feel like you failed, that then translates to you having a negative day for the rest of the day. And mind you, it's only 7 a.m.
I have been working with that, with like feeling more okay that like if I miss a workout, if I miss those morning things. But then I also think about how those things, if I miss them continuously, is going to impact my mental health, my physical health, right? If I miss 4 workouts, 5 workouts a week, then summer next year, I'm going to like hate myself, hate my body, hate this. If I'm not reading at all, I'm not growing intellectually, you know? And honestly, working out, reading, journaling, it all helps me just be a more present person, you know, because it's not scrolling. It's not that instant gratification of likes and videos and 50-second clips. And I feel like those acts are like really helping ground me. So it's easy to say like, oh, just be okay when it doesn't happen. But when it doesn't happen 3 days in a week, 4 days in a week, and then honestly, it's so much harder to go back into it. And then you start feeling like I'm wasting my time. If I can only do it once a week, I'm not seeing any progress, then why even do it?
Yeah. That's a tough one.
And so often, the same advice you just gave me is given to like women about, oh, it's okay. You don't have to, your house doesn't have to be clean. Yes, it fucking does. And I don't mean like the way the past 2 days I've been like really cleaning. Like that doesn't have to be done all the time. And I get that. But my mental health will be fucked up if my house just was a mess. You know what I'm saying? Like it needs to be clean. Oh, it's okay if you skip some dinners, order. If I eat garbage too many days in a row, and by garbage, I mean like fast food, heavily processed food, it impacts my mood, the way I feel. Like I need to eat real foods because it impacts me. So it's like, where do you find the balance? And it's like fucking nearly impossible, honestly.
Without help. And then it's also like, you can't, because there's like you can't depend on help. But then it's also like it takes a village to do it. So then where's the village? Who's the village? And then it's also like, but Stephanie, you just want to do too much. Like I kind of also get guilted into even worrying, because it's like, oh, you don't work. Your husband is, you know, home and he takes care of you and you have this. Like I'm not allowed to feel these things. But you've even gone through that even when kind of like chiming into like your single friends' problems. Remember you said like, oh, you don't get it. You're married. But you can still be empathetic. It reminds me like all the things you're talking about now. And we've heard stories of like women, maybe wealthier women, who they're home, but they still have a nanny come. You're like, what the fuck? Like, you home? Like, what?
You got a nanny?
You see what people throwing away money?
Shit, I wish I could pay for a nanny. Not like always, but a couple hours here and there.
Think about having that extra pair of hands there to help you with your child, even if it was like 3 hours.
Or not a nanny, but like someone who cleans your house. You know, and that's also frowned upon. If the mom is a stay-at-home mom, but someone else comes and cleans, it's like looked at like, what? And even myself, like, if someone walked in our house and it looked a mess, it would stress me out.
Yeah, so like you have a embarrassment.
Yeah, like I feel like a little embarrassed because I'm home. Because I feel like I mismanaged my time throughout the day. Like things should have looked better.
Yeah,
like it's ingrained in me too.
Like even when like my mom comes over, like maybe unexpectedly, and you're like, "Oh hey," and you're talking, but you're like putting away stuff.
Exactly. It's a whole issue that like.
So what do you think that is the answer, that you need to be okay with? I don't know. This is the best phrase I could think of, but like basically living in the mess, and not like the actual mess of like a dirty house, but the mess of like your day going south? Or is the answer, I don't know, we need to figure out how you can accomplish those things that make you feel good?
I think it's a mixture, right? So one is just live knowing that this perfect outline of your day that you have planned 80% of the time isn't going to go that way, right? So if you already have that expectation, then you won't be so annoyed when things come up, you know? Another thing is when your day does get derailed, not letting it mentally impact you so much that you can't just pick it back up the next day or the day after that. Because sometimes a bad day can spiral into a bad week quick. You know, if you play the victim, if you just feel like, oh, like I just, wasted. Like, for example, we were doing, Travis and I were doing a 21-day like movement challenge, right? We missed a day and then it was so easy to miss day 2, 3, and 4. Whereas we could have just had that same attitude the next day, like we're getting back to it. We let it spiral. So I think that's another part. And I know for me personally, another thing that I have to work on is how much time I spend on my phone. I know this week I did, like the way I scheduled my day or like planned my day, my to-do list, I scheduled time where my phone was in a different room just to help me focus on things. And honestly, I'm going to do it more often. Like I felt like I got a lot more done with a lot less distractions. So for me personally, I think that's something that'll help.
You think you're addicted to your phone?
Yeah, not in the little clinical sense, but I can't live without it. It is to a sense an addiction because it's like I don't even think about it. It's like an automatic response. Like I'm checking my phone when there's no notifications because it's just in my hand. Or if I check my phone for one thing, like I got a text, I can't put it down for 10 minutes because now I'm checking my emails, I'm checking Instagram, I'm checking TikTok. What else I check? Like literally I have to check like 5 different things before I put it back down, even though I open my phone for a text message. So to me, that's, if I look up addiction, that probably fits it in some way. Yeah. I feel like I have the awareness, so that's step 1. But I think I have to be more intentional, like in the same way about cooking more or being better with my children or doing things for the podcast or doing things for my business. I have to be intentional. And I can't just say, oh, I need to be less on my phone, but then not literally put it on my to-do list, put phone in other room.
Yeah.
And it sounds kind of cringe and embarrassing, but I'm sure so many people can relate.
It always surprises me how much time goes by. Like you're sitting there and you're scrolling away and then you look up and it's like an hour easy. Mm-hmm. If it weren't for the toilet making my legs numb, yeah, I probably just get lost in the bathroom.
Yeah. Sometimes when he's like, I gotta use the bathroom, but we're like in the middle of nighttime routine or whatever, I'm like, don't take your phone in there because I need you right back.
Yeah. I think, like you said, the biggest thing is that you're aware and you're actively trying to do better. Yeah. There's one thing to be aware and just be like, I'm aware I'm an alcoholic, but let me get another Blue Moon, please. Mm-hmm. It's like, what's the point? You're
awareness with no action.
You're going to actively put your phone down. I think you did it, 2 hours the other day? Mm-hmm. That's the day you were cleaning.
Yeah, I did 2 hours and then another 2 hours. Yeah.
And I was out. I was at work. And then, so it's like, all right, I'm the only person you need to talk to anyway. So, no.
I don't know, but all right. You ready to move on to topic 2?
Yeah.
So topic 2 is still about parenting, but it's going to take a little bit of a different shift, right? So we received some books as gifts from some of our friends who are also fans of the podcast, and they're books about relationships that I definitely want to get into and kind of pull topics from there to discuss on the show. But I was already finishing up a parenting book, that as I was reading it, I wasn't only learning ways to be a better mom, but just to be a better partner to you, because parenting, me and Eli have a form of a relationship. You and I have a form of a relationship. So I feel like relationships in general have a lot of overlap when it comes to being successful in them. So the book that we're going to discuss is called Raising Good Humans, right? And one of my good friends, Brittany, and she's also like an inspirational mother, she was reading this book. So when she posted it, I was like, oh, let me look into it. And it talks about, on the cover, it says, a mindful guide to breaking the cycle of reactive parenting, raising kind and confident kids. So I'm like, of course I want to raise a kind and confident kid. And of course, I'm reactive as fuck. If you're a fan of the show, I feel like I talk so much about being aware of how reactive I am and how I use those moments of like, I need a minute. How I'm very intentional about not saying things to hurt you or disrespect you, because in the past, my mouth was crazy. Exactly. But it's like, have I been checking it in the way that I parent? You know? Yeah, I'm putting all this effort and in changing who I am for the better to be better for you. But is that awareness there for who I am to Eli? So this was like, I instantly wanted to get it. And I will say, it does focus a lot on using mindfulness and meditation as a way to like be less reactive. And I know for a lot of you, you're like, oh, I'm not meditating. I'm not being. But honestly, even if you skip the meditation practices, it'll still bring you a lot of self-awareness. Like it still helps you like reflect to your own childhood. So you're not going to read this and think like, I'm such a shitty mom. You're going to read this and kind of understand why you're reactive. You know, you're going to notice the patterns from your childhood that now are in your own parenting skills.
Would you say it's a form of therapy?
Yeah, because it even has it has exercises, right? So sometimes it'll tell you to journal about your past. It also has there was one time that it told me to write down every time I yelled at my kids and why. And that shit is like, when you're awake, like it kind of triggered this awareness, because sometimes we're parenting and we're yelling 3 times a day and it's like second nature. We don't even notice.
You did it?
I was just, even if in mixed of me about to yell, in my head, I'm like, oh shit, that's another one I got to write down. So even just building that awareness of like, oh shit. And it'll force me to have a different approach, because I didn't want to write down that I yelled again. So in that moment, I was just able to find a different solution. So honestly, even if you skip the meditation practices, you'll eventually get enough information out of here and realize that maybe meditation isn't what you need, but you need something to help keep you grounded and be more present. Just like I said earlier, for me, it's working out, reading, and writing. When I do those things, it literally just helps me be more present. So maybe meditation might be it for you, maybe not. But the other information in here is still so valuable and so important. So I suggest it. But specifically in this book, I wanted to talk about some connections between how we speak to each other as couples and how we speak to our kids.
Okay.
Because sometimes, especially people who are very, very intentional about developing a safe space between themselves and their partner, we're not really name calling. We're not threatening each other. You know, we're not stonewalling anymore. Maybe we have in the past, but we're working on being effective communicators. But what happens with our kids? Are we using those same principles when we're talking to our children? Or do we see them as little humans that just have to do as we say?
I say the latter.
Right? Like, sometimes, so let's think about like if you walked into Eli's room and it was a mess, what's something you would say?
I would just get in here and clean this up. Or who do you think's going to clean up after you? Would
you ever say that to me? If I left my desk open, my papers out, which I've done often when I was tutoring, right? If you got home from work and the bed wasn't made, or I did my hair, and that happens, my hair products will be in the bathroom, the clips are there. Now say what you just said to Eli to me about the bathroom being a mess.
Get in here and clean this up. Who do you think's going to clean this up?
Imagine you saying that to me.
Bitch.
Just imagine.
Yeah, it'd be World War III.
You just would never even say it.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't even naturally come out. But we so easily kind of talk in that way to our children, right? And then to add on to that, we add like little name calling, right? Like you're such a slob, or you're like the Tasmanian devil in here. It looks like the Tasmanian devil ran in your room. Like a tornado ran through here. Like we kind of put these labels on our kids that we would never, like, would you ever call me a slob?
No.
I won't even say that to you, even though I have 2 laundry baskets on his side of the bed and he still leaves his clothes on the floor. Honestly, I am so intentional about not making that an argument. Like when I see it, I'm like, and then I'm like, is this dirty? And when you say no, I'm more like, all right. But when you say yes, I be tight because I'm like, you could literally just thrown it in the laundry basket.
I think you texted me the other day. You sent me a picture of 2 pieces of clothing. It's like, are these clean?
And you were like,
only one.
Only one of them was. And I was like, but that was very like, I've, kind of trained myself to like not let it stress me out, but it kind of still does. It'd be like brewing in there and I don't let it.
I appreciate that.
Another thing that we do with our children is we threaten them, right? And even Travis and I, we don't physically discipline our children, right? But we still threaten them in other ways, right? So if you don't clean this room, you won't have dessert. We're big on saying that. If you don't clean this room, you can't have your video games. Imagine me telling Travis, if you don't come in here and help me put River to bed, I'm disconnecting your computer. Like, just imagine I said that to you.
It'd be a short-lived marriage.
Like, just imagine. Like, it wouldn't make sense. And sometimes in relationships, partners do threaten with, like sex. Oh, yeah. A lot of people use sex.
I thought you were going to use that as an example because then I would run up there and put the baby to bed.
Like you ain't getting none if you don't do this. Don't do that. Toxic. Or threaten, like if you know sensitive information about me and then you use it against me. There was one, like also y'all can relate, that the partner was threatening the other partner with their dad's ashes.
Oh, yeah.
Like something crazy like that.
They were going to do something crazy to it.
Yeah. Don't ever do that. That's like red flag. Don't do it. But imagine if we do it with our kids all the time. You know how many times I told Eli I was going to throw his PlayStation out the window when we lived in the Bronx? Like,
I think you've even gone as far as like putting it on top of the garbage.
Damn, babe.
I'm like, oh, let me put this in the closet.
But it's like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, we shouldn't be doing that. Another thing is lack of communication, right? Like, imagine if you asked me, why are we going to Middletown this weekend? And I'm like, because I said so.
Bitch.
But we do that to our kids. Like, they're not allowed to ask questions, be curious.
I hear you, and these examples are great. And there's like an internal battle happening right now. Because I think even earlier, we were talking while we were eating lunch, and I was saying something to you, and Eli's sitting there so he can hear me. And you heard me fine. But then he's like, what'd you say? I was like, it's not for you.
But that's different. That's like him trying to ask, what'd you say when you were talking to an adult? It's different than if you say, come on, put your shoes on. We got to go to Middletown. And if he says, why? You're like, because I said so. It's kind of like, what do you mean? Like,
I don't feel like I'm that cruel, but there are times where I'm just like, listen to what I'm saying right now. I'm not going to steer you wrong, or I'm not going to put you in harm's way. Like, just.
And I hear you, because we as parents, we have this irrational fear that like our kids need to just do as they're told because it could protect them. Like if there's a bear coming and I tell him run.
Why?
If he stops to be like, but why? I don't want to put my shoes on and run. We think that he's gonna, but again, it's irrational. That's not likely to happen. And I also fight that with saying, if we are always kind of just allowing them to have their curiosities answered and giving them explanations, if you are literally scared, they're going to have enough emotional intelligence to see that you need to do what your mom is saying. If you're like, we got to go, we got to run, your kid's not going to be like, but why? You get what I'm saying? We have to be more realistic and have more trust in our children that they're going to know that when it's a dangerous situation, they're going to do as they're told.
So you feel like it would like garner a certain amount of respect that in the case that there was like a, was it flight or die type situation?
Yeah. You got to go right now. We kind of make it seem like our kids are not intelligent at all. Like they just got to do what we're telling them because, let me see what I have here. Oh, so one thing that the book mentions that I'm like, I love this. It's called the friend filter.
Okay.
So, and a lot of times in relationships, we have to think that way because sometimes we talk to our partners in a tone that's condescending, that's nasty, that's disrespectful, that we would never talk to our friends that way. Right? We would never talk to our colleagues that way. I'm a teacher. There's times when I flip out on Eli or say things to Eli, even when I'm helping him with schoolwork, that I would never in a million years say to one of my students. So that friend filter reminded me of like a teacher filter. Mm. So I want to work on it because I know it's not going to be like an instant fix. But when I'm working with Eli, kind of think like I'm working with another student, and the same with if you're not a teacher, talk to your children, talk to your partner like you're talking to a friend with that level of respect that you would talk to a friend. I feel like sometimes in relationships, we get so close and so comfortable that we lose some decency and common courtesy.
Yeah. But it also, my only pushback on that with the whole friend filter thing is that I feel like there's so many things we're not telling our friends. And
that's different. Go ahead.
It's that we're not getting to those places emotionally. So, a lot of friendships, even best friendships, are very surface. Mm-hmm. And compared to a relationship where you, for the most part, are digging deeper, I feel like you can't really compare the two.
Okay, so I don't mean the friend filter in terms of the topics, like losing that intimacy, which I even preach to get more intimate even with their friends. But the friend filter in terms of being more respectful, right? Let's say this, kids. Sometimes things that seem so minuscule and non-important is like the end of the world to them, right? If Eli ran in here and said, this kid on the bus said he's not my friend anymore, what's the first thing you'll probably say?
What'd you do?
Okay. So you're putting the blame on him.
Yeah. Or I would say, like, what did you do to make them say that? Yeah.
So if I came to you and I said, oh my God, Sarah said she's not my friend no more, what would you say to me?
I'd say, why? What'd you do?
What'd I do? Fine, fair. But sometimes we'll say to kids, like, it's all right, you'll make new friends.
True.
Everybody's not your friend.
I feel like, so I would get to that point after hearing, whatever kids may argue about. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, listen, there's going to be so many people you come across in your life. Mm-hmm. You'll be all right without so-and-so.
But realistically, that's not teaching them any conflict resolution. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe we should be pushing him to resolve and fix that friendship versus being like, oh, there's a million other friends. I feel like saying there's a million other friends is like the easy way.
Yeah, but it's also, even though we're trying to equip our kids with these tools, these other parents aren't. So, like, I'm going to have my son walk up to a kid ready to, like, repair some kiddie friendship when the other kid's like, the fuck you talking about? Like, I'm done.
See, I have to push back on that because that's kind of sounds like parents who be like, you got to be tough. This world is tough out here. I yell at my kids and I'm hard on them because this world is going to be hard on them. Like, what?
That's an extreme, but there's some truth in that, right? I don't want Eli to get like lost in like life can life.
Mm-hmm.
We've experienced it. Shit, we're experiencing it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I want him to be equipped to know that it's not always going to be rainbows and sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you do that without, I don't know, being, I was going to say being that negativity. I don't know.
Exactly. You don't do it by being tough and hard and negative towards them so they could learn it through you. You know how you teach it? Allowing him, like when he sees us have our disagreements and how we solve them. When we talk about things that are going on in the world and how he hears the compassion that we have and the empathy we have for people. That's how he learns, not by us being mean to him.
Yeah. But yeah, I get it. I was going to use this example. Like I got robbed once.
Mm-hmm.
I was working at Applebee's, so I had to be like 19.
Mm-hmm.
And I was walking broad daylight at a time where phones were popular, but it was like you could steal a phone and do something with it. Now you steal a phone, you have a brick. I was walking like this.
So it had value to steal a phone.
Walking like this, walking to the train, just looking like a victim. And I got robbed by 3 kids. But the reason I bring it up is that I feel like if I had like just a little bit more street savvy, or maybe my mom or brother put a little bit more fear, like, listen, don't get caught lacking out here.
But you wish you had more information. What you're suggesting is if I said, see, when I left my phone on the kitchen counter, my brother should have took it to teach me that if I'm walking,
he should have snuffed me.
Teaching through experience in that way, that's different than giving information than saying like when you're out on the street, don't have your phone out. Of course, I'm going to teach my son certain skills, especially like my son is dark skinned. Like there's certain safety skills that he has to learn in life. That's different than saying I have to be mean in order for him to have tough skin for this world.
I get it.
You could teach conflict resolution without being an asshole.
I think, like the reoccurring theme here of you saying like, think about everything you say to your children and then flip that on your partner. Like when you really think about it, it kind of fucks you up.
Yeah. And mind you, some people are at the level where they're still talking shitty to their partners. But I feel like if you're on episode 61 of We Still Like Each Other, the podcast, you're probably at a point where you're at least making a intentional effort to be better at communicating with your partner, to be respectful to your partner. And I want you to take that awareness beyond to your children as well. And even if you don't have children yet, because I know a lot of our listeners are young, it's better. Like I wish I heard people having this conversation before I was a mother.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I got so far.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely I have a lot to reflect on. But yeah, very interesting topic. I
just looked at my notes and there's another thing that I kind of remembered. I don't remember if I got it from this book or it's something I remember from psychology, but we often, with our partners and our children, say always statements and never statements, right? So I'm going to start with the partner. Like if I tell you, you always forget to take out the trash. Always. Even though it was like once this week or twice this week, right? 1, it's inaccurate. 2, it kind of is dismissing the fact that you did do it 6 days out of this week. 3, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you start to just not take the trash out because it's already expected of you, right? The same thing with our children. I feel like I've noticed Eli say things like, I'm a clown, or that's just me. Like I'm crazy Eli, because we kind of say things like that around him and it's becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we got to be careful with saying like, your room's always a mess, or you never do X, Y, and Z. And just look at each situation as an individual, unique situation and not an indication of who they are as a person.
That's a good point. Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely gonna do some reflecting.
Is there anything I ever say to you that you feel like?
I feel like what?
That you're like, yeah, you don't give me credit.
I can't think off the top of my head, but I do know there are times when you hit me with the always. Mm-hmm. I'm like, really? But I don't think it's enough to the point where it's like something we need to talk about. If we want to bring it back to the beginning of this episode, my serious face does not mean I'm angry. So it's like, you married me with this stoic face, like stoic look. But
there's a difference though. I feel like you're not gonna, I feel like in you telling me like, this is just my face, like you're avoiding some accountability and some truth to it. Like there's a difference. Like I know when you're just chill, but I know when you're like frustrated.
Even last episode, we talked about how we've been digging deep. Not, we were talking about sexually, but also just our conversations. Where we are now to like how open we've been. We've started back our meetings, and you don't think I would bring that up?
Listen, I'm not saying that you literally had an issue, that in your mind you're like, I don't want to be heating up this food. I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. But you do it with this like you'd rather be doing anything else but this. Like, and there's something about it with it being food. You'd never want to eat anything that people do con mala gana.
Listen, have you ever been to a Jamaican restaurant?
When they always have an attitude behind the counter. But yeah, no, seriously, like mala gana is like when you really don't want to. If someone's cooking like that, with that like aura, that negativity, like you don't even want to eat the food because, there's this, belief that the food can make you sick. So like when I see you preparing food for us in that mood, like it bothers me.
I hear you. And I'm
bugging.
No, listen. It's how you're interpreting it, so I would never say you're bugging. I will say it's not the truth, but there's the perception is everything. So I don't want you to perceive anything in a negative light, especially when I'm trying to convey to you that that's not how I feel. So I'm gonna try and do better.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome. So if you've made it this far, please. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star rating. Leave us a review if you have a little extra time. If you're on YouTube,
thumbs up.
Hit that bell, subscribe, as Eli would say.
Little YouTuber. Leave us a comment. It really helps the algorithm. Yeah, even if you just say, hey.
You have a question for the comments?
No. I can't think of one right now.
Okay, you should have. No, but yeah, we love interacting with y'all. And we're trying to do better. So we appreciate all the support. And I think that's it.
That's it.
My love.
Daddy.
Do you still like me?
I still like you.
I love you.
I love you more.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.